Welcome to Chapel Hill Vintage Jewels YouTube channel. Courtney and I are in a different venue today. We are in my working office, which means very messy, busy, lots of projects going on here, and we're going to tape from here. We're going to talk about, it's kind of a follow-up to the last one we did, which at the end of the year, which was me answering some of the questions that I get asked so frequently. One of the questions that I get asked all the time is, how do you let go of all this stuff? So today I wanted to show you a few of a collector's acquisitions from last year and talk about how I purchased and why I'm collecting what I am. I want to show you some of the things that I use when I'm doing some of my research. You know, here's my computer. I have a large screen connected to my notebook so that I can see detail when I'm posting for my site on Ruby Lane. But in the process of looking at the jewelry and researching the jewelry, there's a few tools that I use in here quite frequently. One of them we've talked about a million times before, and that is, you know, your jeweler's loop and how important it is to have one of those if you're a collector out there looking at vintage jewelry. Then the other is this little, it's called a caliper. It helps me measure the size of beads or rhinestones. So if I have to replace anything, this is critical because it tells me by millimeter what the size is so I can reorder the right size for a piece. But also when I have fine jewelry and I'm looking at different gem sizes, this is what I use to measure them. And then this is funny looking, but it works. This is what I use when I really need to have really close-up work, where I'm making sure that pieces are in good condition to send out and that they don't need any repairs. This one really, you know, GIA level jewelers use this type of a device, and it works really, really well. A couple of other fun tools that I have. One is over here. This is actually a microscope that goes into my USB port that lets me really look at detail of stuff. For example, I just finished a client's evaluation for a whole collection of jade and ivory that she had. And some of it was celluloid, some of it was bone, some of it was ivory. But I can put the piece under here, it blows it up on the screen. I can take a snapshot of it. I can print it out on my printer over here, and I have the detail to say, okay, is this ivory, and why am I saying it's ivory? Because I can see the striations in it. So those are just some of the tools, the little detailed tools that I use. A critical part of the research that I do on the pieces that I come across is to use this library of books that I've accumulated. And remember, you know, I've said this many times, this is over decades of collecting vintage jewelry. And you can see these, all of these are all on specific vendors. There's Julie Carroll's books on costume jewelry 101, 202. And then I have things like, you know, specific vendors. Here's, let's see, Coral jewelry, Miriam Haskell jewelry. You know, just popular jewelry of 1840 to 1940. And I use these all the time. Hopefully you'll have looked at some of that. That's always in the back of the videos that Courtney and I do, the resources that I use for any specific topic. Alright, what you're looking at in the first tray are things that I purchased last year for my own collection. This whole tray is Butler and Wilson, and Butler and Wilson were two people in England that did a whole series of jewelry, and these are the pieces that I keep for myself. Here, let's look at this one for example. This is their snake piece. You can see it's got big black cabochons. I just love the character of Butler and Wilson. But again, going back to the books on the research side of things, what I want you to look at over here is this book is just about Butler and Wilson jewelry, and what you can see here is Princess Diana with this exact same brooch. So obviously when I came across the brooch, I wanted to keep it. Then these are, I think these are exquisite little pieces. This one's attached to the, but these are geisha girls. And these I would wear. All of this jewelry that I'm keeping in my own collection are things that I would wear. If I don't think that I'm going to wear them, it's very rare that I'll add it to my collection, but I'll show you an exception of that. So here's a couple of pieces that are mint in the box, again, of Butler and Wilson. And I've had a lot of pieces and a lot of interest for Butler and Wilson on my website. This is another piece that I keep and I wear. I love it when I have on a coat. I have a couple of sweater coat type things that are open, they don't have buttons. So this one sort of functionally keeps things together, but I also think it's just an exquisite design. One of my areas of research over the last really 2+ years is Elsa Schiaparelli and the jewelry that was made in the Americas, anywhere from the late 40s to, let's say, early 70s. And the reason that I focused on the American-made stuff is because it's, you know, it's part of the heritage of American manufacturing and the quality of work that was done in the Americas. But the other part of it is pragmatic, and that is that the early things from Elsa Schiaparelli are in museums, or they're astronomically high, and I'm not going to build a collection like that. So what I'm looking for now, with as many pieces as I have of Schiaparelli, is I look for really unique pieces, things I fall in love with, things that complete a set I already have, and jewelry collectors call that set completion disorder. You have to have, like, you know, all pieces to get to a grand parure, or it's preferable if you do. It makes the whole thing more valuable, actually, if you do. So here's a couple of examples of things that I purchased this year. Not all of it, but here's a few examples. This one I was really happy to find. When I would wear this all the time because it's not over the top. It's just a really nice example of the quality work. And this is a leaf and scroll design by Elsa Schiaparelli. This one I found at a local estate. I was thrilled to find it. I very rarely find things locally. You really have to search for Schiaparelli. So that's one example. Another is this, which is a really, really special piece that I paid very dearly for. It's the lobster pin. And I have the article on this from Vogue magazine in 1959 that introduces this lobster. And this one was in mint condition. It has even has the tag on it. Only worn by me once, but I don't think it was worn before that. So that's another example. It's like a really rare piece and really very fine to have it in this color and with the earrings to match. And then the last one is this piece, which I think is pretty stunning. But this is because I purchased this because I didn't have any examples of this, and I'm looking for more of this. It was these big cabochon pieces. I've seen it in turquoise, I've seen it in red. This one's in white. On these large oval discs, or I've also seen it in the round ones. But, you know, I have to really search for this stuff because sometimes these things are, you know, examples. This is a very, very collectible one, and so sometimes the prices of them are exorbitant for me to just keep adding to a collection. I don't want to spend that much money, but I do enjoy having examples of it because I do lecture on Schiaparelli, and I'm also doing some writing on it, so I'll be producing some articles on this very soon. Working on it now. Okay, last tray. This piece is just one of my favorites. I wear it all the time, especially in the summer. I just love the design of this. Very Art Deco. I love the color of the stones. I like green in general. But this one is a signed signer piece. Very special to me. This would be, you know, this is one that I've added to my own collection and I wear frequently. Here's another one. This is Kramer of New York. And this again is the set completion disorder, because I did not purchase this all in the same place at the same time. But I had never seen it. This has a black netting over it. And I also think it's just a fantastic look to it. So I think one time I got the pin, and another time I bought the bracelet and the earrings together. Again, this is Kramer of New York, which is another one that I, have always liked. I like the quality of the piece. But this one I liked because the rareness of the design and this netting that was over the stones is really unusual. And then lastly, I went again back to Schiaparelli. I went to the St. Petersburg had a Dali. It has a Dali museum, and this is a piece that is a replica that I got at the museum, and it's by Salvador Dali. It was designed in 1949. I find beautiful jewelry at museum gift shops. The piece that I have on is one that I got in one of the Chicago museums, but I do pick up pieces from my travels in museums often. So it's just a fast look at, what is a collector, longtime collector, buy for my own collection, and it's always interesting, and there's always more to find. So thanks for joining. We'll be back this year with a lot of detailed videos on more of the designers. Coming soon. Thank you.